to Let's Chop It Up. Tonight, we have a special guest coming in tonight. Is our dear brother who's been on the show before, our brother Thomas Hundley. He is a healthcare operationalist and he's a consultant for healthcare. So, Jamie, can you bring our dear brother Thomas into the studio? Thomas, what's up, brother, man, for the motherland?
What's going on, brothers? I tell you, man,
What's up,
you've done a great
Thomas?
show today.
How you feeling today, man? Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. We up here trying to have some jokes and fun, but we're gonna get a little serious talk and hope we can still have some fun up here. So, Thomas, last time you was here on the show, we talked about you. You worked at Howard Hospital, taking the vaccine, and you talking about the safety of the vaccine. Yeah. And have you seen over the last 5 to 6 months now? There's been a lot of talk about the vaccine is good for you, vaccine is bad for you, and I'm not taking it, and stuff like that. Yeah. Can you tell us how do you feel since from the last time we saw you on the show? I think that might have been February or March. I'm not even sure what month we saw you on the show. How do you feel?
I feel great, man. I'll tell you, I still have the same number of fingers, same number of toes, same number of eyeballs. You know, I mean, everything is still working properly. You know, I mean, no hair loss. You know, and any of those things, those myths that we've heard. And but I will tell you what I have seen. And I've seen in this the numbers don't lie, even when people do, is that the majority of the people, 99% to be exact, of the people who have the vaccine, even if they get COVID, they don't die from it. So that right there tells me everything I need to know is that this thing is working. You don't hear hardly anything about crazy side effects. There is nothing that's 100%, but anything that's 99% to keep me alive, I think it's working. And I know it's working. So the numbers don't lie, even when people do.
Thomas, let me ask you this question. So now there's talk about the booster shot. Can you give us some insight into that?
Yeah. So I think the CDC or Department of Health has come out with the fact that we're going to have a booster shot 8 months after the first shot. And so I do believe that.
Let it bark. I'm sorry. Don't worry about don't mute yourself again, Thomas. Let it bark. We go all right. Let the dog bark. We good.
Oh man. Yeah. So I do believe that I even said it last time on the show that this thing was not going to go away. I told you that I predicted that it would mutate. This is like one of the most perfect viruses ever created. And I'm going to say the word created. It was created and it is doing everything it can to stay relevant in our lives, in our world. It is just part of our culture, a part of our world now from here until whenever. There's no way in my mind, I don't think we'll be able to defeat it. I think it's going to continue to prey on those who have not been vaccinated or who have not found a way to protect themselves against it. And it's going to continue to find a way to survive. So now you hear about the Delta variant that's even more contagious and even more deadly now. And so it has found a way. And so we have over 50% of the population that's vaccinated. And again, those people can still spread it. You can still catch it but you will not die from it. That is the most critical thing. And so if people are not concerned about their lives, not concerned about dying, then, you have a choice. You're right. But I'm going to choose to live. And that's the reason why I decided to get the vaccine. And I'm glad I did.
We will not shame anybody that didn't have the vaccine or get the vaccine rather. And we're not going to, we're not taking sides on this, so people will have the discussion. But Thomas, I got a question for you. What do you say to people that said the vaccine is not FDA approved?
Well, so that's a yes and no question. It was approved. It was emergency approved, in which we were in a state of emergency. Not just our country, but the world was in a state of emergency. And so within the next month, I would say maybe 2 weeks, maybe to a month, it's going to be 100% FDA approved. So yes. Go ahead.
So Thomas, it was emergency FDA approved, or it was emergency FDA by the government?
Yes, emergency FDA approved. That's how we were able to give it out, because the FDA said we're going to do an emergency approval on it, while we're still doing our information to 100% approve it, and that's where we are. So I do, as I said, just from everything that I know, it will be 100% approved within the next month.
Thomas, about 3 weeks ago in New York, we had about 80,000 people that just were holding out and got vaccinated. I think partially because New York is pretty much making it difficult for people. They're not basically anything that's pleasurable or recreational. They're not going to allow you to do it unless you're vaccinated. For people that you've seen that were not interested or afraid of getting the vaccine, what has been the biggest determining factor when you see them change and decide to get it for you?
I think something significant happens in their life, like somebody that they know gets it. And, when they're, what most people don't realize, and I know I think one of you guys have had it in the past. What people don't realize is how lonely you get when you have to be quarantined in a hospital on a ventilator and respirator, and you can't see your people. They can't see you for 8 to 10 days. I mean, that is a lonely feeling. And to top it off, some of the people just from the hospital that I worked in over the last year,
It's all right, Thomas.
Right.
They actually walked into the hospital. I watched them walk in. They went up to the COVID ward, but they never walked out. And so their family never got to see them. They never got to see them the entire time they were in the hospital. I mean, no eyes, no hugs, no kisses, no goodbyes, just either through the phone, but no way to visibly see them. And that's a lonely existence. So, if people want to continue to roll the dice and see if they catch it and whether they're going to have mild symptoms or major symptoms, that is a choice. And that as Americans, we do have our own choice. But I just encourage everyone to just educate yourself, do a little more digging on the vaccine, what it's made up of. It does not contain the live virus. So that myth is out. Let me just throw that out there. It does not contain it. So, do your homework and research and make the decision for yourself. But I would venture to say, if I had to tell you, please choose to live.
Thomas. Go ahead, D.
All right. So, like, for a lot of Black young women, like I have a niece and stuff like that, and a few other young sisters I know, they worry about the reproductive system of having, if they get this virus, they take this vaccine, will they be able to have kids where the kids come out normal, and does it attach to your DNA and all that stuff like that?
None of that. Myths, man. I'm just going to leave it at that. All myths. Not proven facts. No science behind any of that. It's all myths.
Thomas, did we jump the gun in New York? We had gotten this thing down to, I think, less than 1%. I don't know if we got a false sense of security. Once we took the mask off initially and people started being able to go in theaters again, and we thought we were out of the woods. I think we were at 70%. I heard the sweet spot was 75%. At the time, I think our governor did a terrific job of trying to manage this crisis. And then all of a sudden, this variant came, and it seems like we're not back to square one, but I mean, we did take steps backwards. So did we just come out the gate too fast? I mean, once, at first you have only 10% of arenas, and then all of a sudden the places are packed again. Where do we swerve off the road?
No, I don't think we jumped the gun. I think that no one really took into consideration or even thought through the fact that this thing was going to mutate. They thought that they had something that was going to wipe it out. And again, getting the vaccine does help to, limit some of the spread, but it does also prevent the deaths. I want to make sure you guys understand why I'm advocating for it. I want to even bring up that situation that happened in, I think, Philadelphia, where they went to this party and, they found that most of the people were vaccinated, but they still got COVID. Well, when you do the numbers, 99, all of them lived. Okay, even though there were only 7 of them that was hospitalized, 14 of them had mild symptoms, but every last one of them lived. So, and that is the key to showing that this vaccine actually works. But I don't think we jumped the gun. I just don't think that we took into consideration that this thing is going to fight like crazy to try to stay a part of us.
And that's the mutation process. So basically, if you can explain mutation, this is a live virus, and it is saying, I will transform before I just go easy. Is that what it is?
Okay. I've been trying to wrap my brain around how to kind of put this into a
layman's
form
terms
that somebody can understand it. But it's sort of like an alien, if you can understand it. An alien that we're trying to get rid of, and you shoot it with the laser gun and it splats out into all this green mess. Well, then there's a little piece of that green mess that keeps moving. Well, that thing is going to try to find a way to live. It's going to attach to something to say, okay, I need to get new life. And once it gets that new life, it said, okay, now I'm going to multiply and create a new variant or a new life, and I'm going to spread just like I did before. That's what's happening. And no one took into account of that. And what I also heard before just 2 weeks ago, that there's a gamma variant that's out there. So I'm telling you, man, we have to continue to do what's prudent. Keep our mask on, continue to social distance, and most importantly, they have something that is a miracle that's working, and that's the vaccine. The way they created it, when you look into it, I mean, it's something that we can be proud of as a human race. That it was very intellectual and very ingenious in the way they developed this vaccine, and it's actually working.
So people saying that it's no one you can sue. Like, who's going to be responsible? Like, you can't sue the government for this vaccine, stuff like that. What are your thoughts? Anything you heard on that?
Well, and I keep hearing people say the government. But I look at the two companies who were first to jump on the scene, Pfizer and then Moderna. Those are the independent companies. Now, the government had to get behind this. Why? Because it's countrywide. I mean, there's nothing that's going to happen countrywide. It's inherent on the government to do something. So yes, they're pushing it. Why? Because the government wants to keep the country safe. How else do we continue to function with our economy, our military, as a world order, as a top world order, if everybody in our country is sick? So they have to do something. So that's prudent on them. That's their job to do so.
Anybody else want to?
Yeah, I want to say right now what we're doing in New York. They've come out with a list. They're going to implement this in September.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go to gyms. You cannot go to theaters. You cannot go into a restaurant. They're going to make it where you pretty much are relegated to your home. Or right now, they're even considering trying to get MTA workers. If you work for the city, that they want to mandate it. I know that's going to probably be met with some type of litigation and put out in court. But do you think if we do that, do you think that's going to get a hold of this thing? Just limiting everybody who's not vaccinated? Is that?
Yeah, we're going to have to go back to not a full shutdown like we did before, back, I think, 2020, starting in February, March, April. I don't think we're going to go back to that. But again, we're going to have to go back to wearing our mask. And now, I was just in New York yesterday and the days before. And I had the best chicken and waffles that I've ever had in my life. Okay,
but where were you at? Where were you at? First of all,
it was on 8th Avenue at Mom's Cafe or something right down off of 8th Avenue, almost near the restaurant district.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't know what that
but it was amazing. But before I could walk into that restaurant, the guy asked me. He said, "You have to show proof of your vaccination." And I'm like, whoa, okay. Now I'm not carrying the card around with me. He said, but you can't sit outside and you don't have to show anything. But to walk into that restaurant, and Monday was the first day that they enacted anybody inside had to wear a mask. But that caught me by surprise when I walked in and he said, you have to show proof.
We lose Thomas?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right.
You know why? Because Thomas ain't have his vaccination card on him. And if you're gonna be in the big screen, no, but I think he while we're getting him back, I think that's some very, very pertinent information. Then it's good to see that he's still healthy because we did have that question. Welcome back, Thomas.
Yeah, thanks.
But Thomas, let me ask you this question. This has been so polarizing. And to some people, it has been a political football. It seems like it's been divisive. Right now, this is how one of my cousins was saying he was afraid to get it. He's afraid 5 years from now, we're going to have some type of disclaimer about it or something like that. In the midst of everything, how do is there a happy medium where we could not be harsh to people that are afraid or concerned or don't want to get it? It seems like it's becoming very contentious. It seems like it's coming to a fever pitch now. Are you seeing that where you are? Because even in New York, which is a very liberal place, we're starting to see the frustration and politically it's starting to kind of boil over.
I've been seeing it a lot. I mean, people are making their comments known about whether or not they're going to get the vaccine or not. And then you should really see the comments about the booster. I mean, people are giving the government the finger. They're like, oh, absolutely not. You're trying to infect us. I mean, there's so many conspiracy theories out there about it. And so it was already hard enough to get us over that plateau of getting the country to 75%, which is herd immunity. But now to enact that we're going to give a booster on top of this, and people still don't really know about this vaccine. I mean, I just see that falling on deaf ears.
I gotta admit, the booster concerns me as well, because I wasn't told about the booster. I didn't know that later we were gonna have to. Did they not know? Because I think the way the information is rolled out has been one of the issues some people have as well.
I don't remember if I mentioned it on this show. Or
I think you did. I remember you mentioning it.
This is going to continue to go on. This is going to be the new flu shot. I think I said that.
Yeah,
so just like you have to get that flu shot every year, you're going to get, I believe, we're going to get some type of vaccine to help us prevent from dying from COVID. And notice I said dying and not the spread of it. But I just think we're going to end up having something that we're going to have to come to terms with going forward. And so I'm not surprised by the booster. I am surprised that they're giving it 8 months after the last one. I thought maybe it would be an annual thing, but I just don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if they thought this was going to happen, or they predicted this was going to happen, or even planned for it. But I actually saw this coming.
So I think that there's a slippery slope going on right now, where we're already talking about you need to have your vaccination card before you do whatever. All right. Now you're also saying that that booster shots are going to be necessary. So now we're all going to have to walk around with updated vaccination cards. All right. Where not only do you get the booster shot, but now you have to walk around with this vaccination card everywhere that you go. All right. Identification papers. All right. So now it seems like there's a slippery slope. And I think, and it's all, and the sticker is people still have concerns regarding the efficacy of the shot itself right now. You know what I mean? It seems like we're going someplace and we don't even know if it's even worth it or how worth it is. All right. So I think that's where a lot of it is coming from. When you look at it, just wondering what your thoughts are on that. When do you think that this thing will ever be over? When do you think this is going to be done?
Man,
just let me add to what Derek said, and go ahead. I think what Derek was also trying to say is that the narrative keeps constantly changing, and everybody just keeps going for it.
Yes,
you're right. It does, and I think the narrative keeps changing because this is such a new thing. Just think about it. Before 2019, had you ever heard the word COVID? You never heard the word. So this is new for just about everybody in the country, and we're scrambling, trying to get ahead of something that we're already behind the 8 ball from the giddy up. And so I just see that people are trying to, the most intelligent people in the country are trying their best to solve a problem that doesn't just plague our country, but the whole world. And so that's just where we are. And I don't see, because this virus is so sophisticated, and it's just, there's nothing that we had that could actually kill it. And so I know one of the questions we had is, what is the cure for it? Well, there is no cure. Just only ways to prevent you from dying from it and possibly prevent from spreading it. That's where we are right now at this day and time.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of black people that talk about with Tuskegee and stuff like that, and and how they treated black people in healthcare, and I can't be mad at them, and because they this country has always did wrong by with women's health, all kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you say to those people like this? It's they trying to kill black people. I do remember, and months before that, it was a whole bunch of white people lined for the vaccine. So, what are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I know. I mean, and I know that question sometimes, or when people use that, there's some fear. There's some fear in that, in that excuse, in the fear and the excuse as to a reason why they won't use it. But as you can see, Tuskegee was Tuskegee. If you've ever been to Tuskegee, the town of Tuskegee, you know how small that is in comparison to.
I almost got locked up down there, Thomas. Don't bring up Tuskegee. That's a true story.
That doesn't surprise me about you. Anybody else, it would surprise me, but not about you, brother.
long time ago. Yeah,
where does herd immunity come in?
When does it come in? So they predict herd immunity comes in when we're about 75% of the country has received the vaccine. That's what they believe.
And what will that accomplish?
What that does is, so hear me now. So I'm gonna say this. What it does is prevents the bouncing or the spread of it, where that is affecting people to the point of death. You guys remember New York was hit the hardest at the beginning of this thing, and
right.
all the people that were lined up, the coolers and trailers of dead bodies that they had out there at the hospitals in New York. So as you can tell, over the time, those numbers have come down. And that is what it has actually done, is prevent the number of deaths of the people that this virus is killing off. And I mean, because again, when it started, there was such a panic. The whole, the world shut down. The logistics of things shut down. You couldn't get medical supplies. You couldn't get ventilators. Hospitals were just bombarded with, just people being overworked, too many, not enough beds. So, I mean, but this thing now has stopped the numbers of deaths, and it will actually stop to the point where it's not spread so much, and hopefully it'll just die off.
So the people that do like holistic stuff, like in those kind of, like they saying vitamin D deficiencies and take all this oil, oregano's, all this stuff like that, and that certain people only get are the ones that are getting sick from this. What are your thoughts on whatever you've seen from the data that you've read?
I'll never talk about anyone who's doing anything to boost their immune system. So anything you can do to boost your immune system is going to bode well for you. But you have to also make sure that the underlying health conditions that you may have are not a factor, and you're taking care of those as well. So exercise and diet are still actually the keys. But again, any natural herbs, supplements, or things that you could do to boost your immune system will help. But again, it is not a cure or a prevention from anyone getting COVID. There are only 2 drugs that I know that they use right now that combat that. And I think one of them is remdesivir, and the other one is corticosteroid that I forget the name of.
Yeah, I think that's what the governor's taking that Rosetta. The governor of Texas.
That's what they use in the hospitals.
Yeah, I think that's
COVID patients.
Ain't that one thing? So this guy gets to use this at home, and everybody else that's not privileged has to wait till they get to the hospital. But anyway, that's another thing.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, what is your? Did you have a preference with the shot you received?
Have a preference?
Yeah, and I know that's kind of a loaded question, but I know there's some information about Johnson & Johnson versus Pfizer. I wound up getting Pfizer, which I knew a couple of doctors, and they were like, "That's the way you want to go, if possible." I mean, I don't know how true it is, but did you have a preference, or? And I don't want to deter anybody or persuade. No.
So I did have a preference. I wanted to get the Pfizer. The Pfizer was the first one that came to our hospital and was made available. And I was one of the first 15 in the hospital to get it. And so I stuck with Pfizer. Now, Pfizer is a company that's been around 150 years. Moderna has been around 10 years. And so, but both of them were on the same cutting edge technology. So one was an upstart company. The other one has been around for a while. And so I just went with the company. I'm old school, so I went with the old school company.
Gotcha.
Well, you would have went with Johnson & Johnson. Yeah. And you had that third eye.
Hey, now here's the thing. Johnson's vaccine came out much later. I was first in line. I wanted the first thing that came out.
Gotcha. Now, the people saying that the vaccine came out so fast, and can you tell people why it came out so fast?
Yes, we had an emergency. Houston, we had a problem. And so we had to figure out how to solve that problem. And so once they came out with the vaccine, so just to give you an idea of FDA approval, most of the time it goes through a long couple-year, 3-year process. And the reason why it goes through that is because, one, you got to have you got to have a disease that needs medicine for it or vaccine for it. All right. Number two, you got to have the money to put behind the vaccine. All right. Because you're not going to just spend billions of dollars on a vaccine and there's no need or supply or demand for that vaccine. Okay. Then once you do that, it goes into the list and laundry list of FDA approvals that it has to go through. So it's on the list already there are like 1,000 drugs on there already. And so you go to the bottom of the list. Well, the government decided that this was such a world order and such an important thing that they would move whatever came out to the top of the FDA approval list. Not only that, the money was there. Why? Because the demand was there. So it skipped all of that long process because of the demand, because of the money, and because we had a problem. That's the reason why it got approved so fast. That's the end of the story.
Well, this is the last one for me, and Thomas, and thank you for this information you've shared. As you said, you were one of the first 15 people. Mm-hmm. What gave you the confidence to actually take something? Was it a leap of faith, or was it because you just actually believed in the science at the time?
Two things. One, I believed in the science, and number two, I'm a soldier at heart, and I know that I wanted my family to live. And sometimes, you make sacrifices for the good of your family. And I was willing to be one of those people that if this thing was going to work, I wanted to see if it's going to work on me before my family did it first. So I wanted to be the first and say, hey, people are going to learn from me, and then we'll see what happens. But I believed in the science, and also being a soldier, man, they have given us shots, that we didn't even know what we were getting, man. We showed up, pulled our sleeves up, and they shot us with a gun and say, all right, go out and do great things. So, and I'm still here after all those. So I believed I would survive this new vaccine.
Wow. Very, very nice. Appreciate it, Thomas.
So how about the kids are going back to school? These kids, how do you feel about young children getting this vaccine and stuff like that?
Well, I have a 12-year-old here, and so she went on and got it too. And so the 9-year-old has to wait her turn until they approve that she'll be able to get it, or if she turns the right age to get it. And then we'll also make sure she's vaccinated. But at the time, I do believe that each one of them needs to wear a mask and continue to practice their hygiene and social distancing, even while in school. Anything you can do to continue to protect yourself and stop the spread of it, or even stop from catching it, I think is on us as individuals to do. So if it was up to me, every student going to school, if you're going to be inside, you need a mask on, period.
Are there numbers on, let's say, people who are vaccinated and go maskless? Like how are they with spreading the disease? All right, as opposed to people who are just unvaccinated, but wear a mask, or whatever. Are there any numbers like that walking around? Have you heard?
No, what they have done, the science behind the mask is it stops the spread of not just COVID, but any type of germs. Right. If you realize that by us wearing the mask all of 2000, we did not have as many flu cases as we normally have. So it's the science behind wearing the mask that it stops the spread of germs and other things. So wearing the mask is proven. It's already been proven that it actually helps to limit someone, coming in contact with you with your breathing or sneezing or coughing or even talking loud, and you're emitting things out of your mouth. Somebody walking through that and catching something that you actually, emitted. So it's science behind it, and I believe in it. So we try to wear our mask as much as possible, especially indoors.
I know some people saying, not just my homeboys to me today, about if you get the vaccine, that this strips down your immune system, that keeps you vulnerable to other diseases and stuff like that, that strips down your immune system. That now that this variant, that this vaccine is going to trigger something worse to come to humanity because it strips down your immune system. Is that true, or what have you seen?
Never heard that. Never saw anything written that is true at all. But I will say this, Demar, man. I really want you all to hear me on this. There are people that I've seen who say to themselves, who ended up in the COVID unit, who were so against the vaccine. And it came down to the point where, they were, on their last days. And now they're saying, dang, I wish I had done my research and I wish I had gotten it. But it was too late. And I don't want that for anyone, for them to, stand on their laurels and stand on their high horse and what they believe and what they think, and without doing their research, and let that be their excuse for not getting it. And then it becomes, and it's too late, and that's the part that bugs me, because the people I saw in that morgue, those bodies piled up, those are our people. Those are all Black people in there. Not one of them didn't look like me. And so the bodies were just piled up, and reality hit me, man. I'm like, the only people dying in this morgue are the people who did not get the vaccine. That told me everything I needed to know. And so I just want people to do their homework, make your own decision. I'm not telling you to go get it. I want to make sure I put that on record. I'm not telling you to go out there and get it. I'm saying, make the choice that's best for you. Do your work, do your research and homework, and find out what is the best decision for you and your family.
All right. Brother Thomas, man, listen, I don't know anybody got any more questions for my brother, Kelvin, Derek, Rodney.
No, I don't have a question.
I will say I was a little nervous, man. I didn't think I was going to be able to follow the Hood Olympics, brother. I didn't know who was going to do that.
The Hood Olympics is even more challenging. You might somebody break their neck and wind up in that morgue with the rest of the people in there, man. The Hood Olympics is hard to follow, brother. Hard to follow,
man.
You got a whole bunch of stuff. The Hood Olympics. They got Lucy sales, who sell the most Lucy's, all kind of shit. But that's another week. That's going to be another show. Another week,
sir.
Man.
Hey, brother. Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. Much
Definitely.
love to you guys.
We love you, man, for the information bringing, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and I definitely now know what it is to have a New York slice.
Right, brother.
That's right.
Nothing like it.
You better have that, eating that with a fork and knife, man.
Oh man.
So Thomas, before you go, share with the people. We understand that you are a huge baseball fan.
Yes.
Two things. Share with the people why you're going on tour to visit as many stadiums as you are. Secondly, who is your team that you root for?
Okay, so I'm a former baseball player myself. Played in college before I got injured. Joined the military right after that. So it's always been on my bucket list to visit every Major League Baseball park. I've gone to 17 so far. And so the Yankees versus the Sox yesterday was by far the best game. The fans were going at it, but it was hilarious. But the game was exciting, and watching the Yankees pull it off at the end, it was just a beautiful thing. But I personally root for the Atlanta Braves, only because I'm from Mississippi, and that's all
put them in the back. Put them in the back.
That's all we watched. That's all we had, man. We only had.
I know that's
channels.
true. That's true. When I was down there, it's right. You're right.
Yeah, we only had 2 channels. We watched WGN and TBS. So I had to root for the Braves or the Cubs. So I was rooting for the Braves.
Well, thank you for the 1996 World Series, brother.
I remember that. Yes,
I was in South Carolina for when Andy Pettitte pitched that 1-zip game.
Oh,
and I was surrounded by Atlanta Braves fans. Surrounded.
Yeah.
I was out there hanging out, turn up. Your Thomas, brother, thank you, man, for coming on again, man. We love you, brother, for the information given out to the people. And like you said, make people make their own choices and stuff like that. Just want everybody to be safe. And wash your damn hands and use hand sanitizer.
There you go. All
right, brother, man.
All right,
Peace,
brother.
man.
Peace.
Take care,
Good night,
Thomas.
man. Take care. All right.